Oh. So in our last aviary video, I finally got a boom lift that worked, and I was able to finish getting the cables up.
How heavy is it?
I don't know, a couple 100 pounds. So now it's time to put up the netting. So this net originally came in a huge box, and then we just had it out here out in the weather, and so it eventually just kind of evaporated and tore up, and now we have the net. We moved it one time, and I was able to drag it over, so it's not incredibly heavy, but it's a pretty big net. It's gonna be hard to fit it in here and get up in there, but I think that's our plan. Otherwise, you'd have to pull it to one side and try to pull it all the way over, which I guess would be the backup plan. But let's see if we can get this net loaded up. I think it's maybe a couple 100 pounds, 200-300 pounds. You like my plan?
I don't know. This is the most confusing thing. I've been dreading for a while. I have no idea how to do this. It's gonna be really hard to get all these little holes moved over. It's gonna snag on every little bit of the posts. And then you gotta find the middle. I don't know. I just don't know how it's gonna go.
I remember moving this net a couple years ago over to this spot, and it didn't seem horribly difficult. But little did I know this would be the hardest task we would take on to complete the aviary. Yes, building a coop by myself was really dangerous. And putting in all of the 100-pound outer fence panels with Becky and Eli took a lot of patience and consistency to complete. And even hanging the 500-pound gates were more than we could handle at times. But this net, it would challenge us to our breaking point. It was heavy, it was stuck in the grass, and even after loading it in the boom lift, then what? What would we do next? You see that net?
Yeah.
That's gonna go over the aviary.
Oh.
Yeah. So new plan, we're gonna pull it out of here. We're gonna stretch all the way out, because I don't know, I'm just gonna have a big lump that I'm gonna have to carry over the top. I'm not gonna know where the middle's at. So we need to stretch it out, find the middle, and then maybe pull it in like that, like a rag. Maybe I can drag it up somehow. I don't know. Or maybe we'll just pull it over from the bottom up, I don't know. So right now it's all twisted in, like right here, but we did find a red string, which we think indicates the center of it. We're trying to pull it out and it just keeps getting stuck right here in the middle. We're finding the edge, but we're gonna have to keep unraveling this middle part because it's all stuck. Ugh. So we're gonna try a method here of pulling it from one side all the way over to the other side. We tried to load it onto the boom lift. It just was too heavy. It was all twisted up. Glad we didn't do it that way. So we've got it all strewn out, not completely stretched out, but most of the way. We're gonna lift it up and then try to take it up as high as we can. It's gonna snag this fence in a few places and we can unhook it there wherever we need to, but we're hoping I can get it most of the way up and over. Doing it this way, we'll see. You might be wondering, why don't you know what to do? Well, this isn't a kit. This was a design we worked on with a fencing company in the UK. And while there are drawings, there's no instruction manual for building our aviary. It's one of a kind and created just for us. So while there may be an easier way of doing things, we've had to figure it out as we've gone along. And so far, the net has not been cooperating. Darn it, what if I just pull it to the middle? Pull it through the gate, and then pull it over the middle. Okay, take it back. So pulling the netting up and over the outside of the aviary fence just didn't make sense. It got snagged too much, and we had to keep stopping to unsnag it. So my next idea was to pull it through the big gate and pull it to the middle and go up and over the middle pole, pulling it through and then spreading it out over the aviary and all of the cables. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to have some kind of string hook to it. So we keep hitting walls to try to get over here. I got all of the wire up to the top, but it was too heavy to even lift over. It just would pull me back. So we're gonna hook it up to a cable, hooking up multiple spots here. Right there. And now we can have some leverage and pull it the other way. So as we pull, we can get it up there. And then once we get it to the top, I can facilitate with the boom lift and get up over the top. It's just so heavy. This thing must weigh, I don't know, 600-800 pounds. It's very heavy. Just really hard when you're up in the air to try to do much with it when it's pulling back on you. I just need it up and over right now to get to spread the weight. Need to be able to spread the weight out, and then we can figure out something after that, but I can't even get it over the middle right now. I got it tied to one of the extra cable reels we had, and Becky and the boys were at the back of the aviary to pull the net through. Easy peasy, right? There we go. Hang on. Hey, just hold it. Just don't pull. It's hooked on a screw. All right, Eli and Uriah are pulling. Here's our cable, and I'm trying to get it over the top here. Hang on. There's 4 screws on each side. It keeps catching all the screws. I don't know how to do it. This became increasingly frustrating. They would pull, it would get snagged on something, I would unsnag it. It weighed too much for them to pull it over the top. I would pull some up, which was really heavy.
Come on.
They would pull, and it would get stuck on something again.
Oh. It's like hooked on screws. I can't even get there.
We were losing our minds.
We've been working on this for 5 hours, and I don't feel like we've gained anywhere. It's so heavy. It's so heavy. It's the most weight I've ever lifted, trying to pull that up over. And Becky, Eli, Uriah are trying to pull it with cables, trying to pull it over the top. I'm trying to, it's the weight, and then it keeps getting hooked on these screws right here. Keeps getting hooked on those all over the place. And so I've got to unhook it. They pull it right out onto the hooks again, right onto the screws again. I can't get it. I can't figure out what to do. It's so much weight. I can't even just pull it back. It's like caught on screws, and if I could just toss it back off, I would. We've got to regroup and find a new game plan.
I'm exhausted. Look how we got so far. We had to regroup and rethink this because it was getting stuck in the middle on the screws. So we thought taking it over just the wires, it won't get stuck, but it's still super heavy. Me and Eli are able to pull it, but Jake still has to lift it over the wires. It's coming along a lot better than what we've had all day. So I'm hoping this is the right way to do it. Now we got it over 2 wires so far. And then we're gonna try to get 1 more wire before it gets too dark, and it's getting dark fast.
So it may not look like much progress, but for the 3 times we attempted to get it over any type of cables yesterday, over the middle didn't work, over the side didn't work, but over the cables now I think we've got some progress, which is a relief. We've got it started over 2 cables this way, and so Becky and the boys can pull it back one way while I'm lifting it up because it just weighs so much. This thing must weigh 1,000 pounds. It's crazy. I don't know how they expected anyone to do this. So I see a light at the end of the tunnel, but gosh, it feels like we're still, might get halfway today, and then hopefully if we get it all off the ground today, that we can pull it over the whole thing, maybe tomorrow.
It looks like I'm gonna have to come back there because the weight's all there to lift it up on top. It's all right. I can just hook it right here and then. Right now I'm up over the 3rd cable out of 5 that we're up on. We almost have it off the ground here, but look at the wind. The wind is fighting us. Becky and the boys are trying to pull it back over there. The wind keeps pulling it, so I'm fighting the wind here.
So Becky and the boys would pull the cable that pulled the net over the aviary cables while I was up at each pole getting the netting unhooked whenever it would catch on something.
Ready? Come on.
And then Becky's family came over to help us with some manpower. First I tried to take some of the net up with me to throw over a cable, but it just became a knotted mess.
It's too much up here. This is the problem I had. It gets too much and then I can't, it's all twisted in itself here. I almost have to throw it back out. I can't pull it up.
We've we've got this side pulled all the way over here. We can see the edge, so I'm not too concerned, but this whole thing is a round circle. If the rest of it's right down on the ground, that's fine, but I just want to make sure we're not pulling it all like weird, you know, like where it's gonna have a flip, be a half circle. But I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Getting it off the ground over there is gonna be hard. Uh-oh, we're getting to the middle now. I'm gonna have to monitor it at the middle because it's gonna get hooked on everything.
So for a while, I just had to run back and forth from the middle to the outside poles to unhook the netting whenever it got stuck. But at least we were moving in the right direction now. Then we decided to start taping up all of the bolts and sharp edges so the net wouldn't get stuck as often. I didn't get it on every pole before the net got pulled over, but it helped keeping the net from getting stuck so much. Almost there. A little more net to pull over the sides of the poles and we'd be done with the really tough part.
Whew. I think we're about 3/4 the way there. We've got it over this back half. Got it all pulled over. And we've almost got it off the ground, so we'll keep working our way around, pulling the outer netting, and then we need to start pulling this out over the poles. Whew. Well, we've made a lot of progress on day 2. I think we're getting real close. There's a hole I need to fix. So here it is, one last time. This vehicle goes back tomorrow. So we're starting to put some natural branches up for all the birds to be able to get up vertically and use this space to its full capacity. So got one right here that can overlook the pond there. I'm sure the peacocks are probably gonna end up getting on the roof of the building. That's okay, but I'm trying to give them some spots so they can get up and perch and get away from any of the other birds that are causing them problems. Hopefully this will give them lots of space to hang out. I cannot believe that we are finally done with the aviary cables and netting. Check it out. So a project that's taken us 5+ years to do is only weeks away from getting finished. But this netting project, it was unbelievable how difficult, how heavy this net was. We had no idea that the net was gonna weigh this much and that it was gonna be such a challenge to get up over all of the cables. I really thought I was just gonna be able to put it onto the boom lift it up, and then start stretching it out. I thought it was gonna be really simple, no big deal. And it was anything but simple. So we have both of our gates done. There's netting over the top there, and then there's even some extra netting hanging to block any little gap there. We've got our dirt all fixed here, and then we've got it pulled down over the top, connected there at the top, and then extra foot down. We've got it connected. So we did use zip ties. That's what our netting company sent with it, but then we also got some stainless steel zip ties so that we could make sure that if these ever break, we always have a backup, something that's pulling this together. So Becky, tell me your thoughts on the netting.
That was a fun adventure. It took us a while to figure out what or how to get it up. But once we got it going, it came along pretty fast, I thought. We had some help, so that was very nice.
You excited to get some birds in here?
Yes, I'm excited for it to be done, finally. After 5 years.
Yeah. So one of the last things we did after working on the gate areas and then getting all the cable secure to all the outer fence was work on these logs so that we'd have a natural roost for them up on all of these posts. Check out here in the center, we've got 3 big logs here. I don't think it'll be any issue for the peafowl to be on those. Those are really big. Some of them are kind of smaller. It might be a little bit too light. They might end up breaking some of them. I don't know. I can always put more up. That's not a big deal. I was just trying to make sure that I got some up on all these posts, that we were using vertical space as well as all of the horizontal space throughout. Now, what's next after the cable to get birds in here? Tomorrow, we are going to get something for the pond. I'll just leave it at that. After that, we're gonna put landscaping cloth on the inside and outside so we can put some rock all the way around because we need there to be no weeds. Really, the grass in here has got to go. We don't want to be in here mowing all the time with the birds. They can have little patches here and there, but we don't want much grass in here. So we're gonna tear up a lot of this. We do have some trees. Somebody said you should plant trees in here. Well, we did. We've got this one right here that should grow up to be about 20, 25 feet tall, should be right in there. And so we're gonna put wood chips all throughout. We're gonna put the rock on the inside and the outside because we wanna put some electric outside the fence. We do have the fencing down a foot outside, maybe even 2 feet in some areas, but I wanna put some electric so if a predator comes up, tries to dig, it'll hit it. If they try to climb, a raccoon tries to climb or something, they'll hit the electric as well. So we want to keep anything from trying to get in through the netting. And I think I can get all that done in the next couple weeks. We can start to move some birds in. So stay tuned for that. What do you think about the aviary?
It's cool.
You excited to put some birds in here?
Yeah.
Do you remember putting the netting up?
Yeah.
What was putting the netting up like?
Really hard?
Really hard. You excited to put the birds in here?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.